compete with the local religions on equal terms. There was no point in Europeans imposing something alien from the outside.
Anyway, all this talk about bringing Christianity to the Dark Continent was false. It had already been here 1,000 years before the first missionary arrived. The true Christianity arrived in Africa, 2,500 miles away on the other coast.
When the European missionaries first came to Africa, they were faced with an uncomfortable truth. It wasn't the Dark Continent they'd imagined. They weren't the first Christians to come here. On the other side of Africa is a land that successfully resisted European colonialism until the 20th century. A country, Ethiopia, that came into being long before Spain or Portugal or Britain. It's even mentioned in the Bible itself.
I'm with a group of Christian pilgrims, and we're on our way to see an ancient religious festival, part of one of the oldest churches in the Christian world. Founded over 1,600 years ago, when Britain and most of Europe languished in a pagan dark age. We're about to investigate the Ethiopian Orthodox Church.
Here at Lalibela, in the Ethiopian highlands, is one of the most extraordinary religious sites in the world. Carved out of the rock itself, they call it the Jerusalem of Africa. Oh wow, that's incredible. If not slightly dangerous. Oh my days. Look at that. It's a whole underground city. It's like, wow. How old did you say this is?
Over 800 years ago. It was excavated at the end of the 12th century.
My word. This should be one of the wonders of the world, shouldn't it? This isn't an uncivilized people that have to have their religion or someone else's religion thrust upon them. This is a structure to celebrate their own expression. This is their own expression of Christ. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church was founded when pagan emperors still ruled in Rome. It is thought that Christianity was brought here by monks from Egypt in the 4th century.
You see the cross on the ceiling? Malta's cross?
But some Ethiopians claim that their faith goes right back to the Old Testament times, before Christianity even existed. The Ethiopians even have their own ancient manuscript tradition, with perhaps the first ever African alphabet. Ethiopian Christianity is so old that even its Bible is different. When European scholars arrived here in the 17th century, they found books in this Bible that they had not even heard of, perfectly preserved. Yeah. How old is this book?
820 years.
820 years. So it was here when this church was built. Oh. It's written in a most wonderful and colorful script, as well as the illustrations. How long did it take to write this Bible?
It takes about 8 years.
Many aspects of the Ethiopian church are particular to this community. You won't find them in any other Orthodox community across the world. But though it may seem strange to Western eyes, it's a testament to the extreme age of this African church. Today is the Feast of St. Michael, and the ceremonies here demonstrate an extraordinary facet of Ethiopian Christianity, its links with Judaism and the ancient Jewish temple in Jerusalem. At the heart of every Ethiopian church is a sanctuary where the public are never allowed. Inside, protected by the priests,
are kept the most sacred objects in the Ethiopian Orthodox faith. A few times every year, they are carried in procession on the heads of these priests, covered with sacred cloths. They are inscribed blocks of wood, replicas of the tablets of stone brought down by Moses from Mount Sinai as told in the Jewish Old Testament. The Ethiopians practice other Jewish customs too, such as circumcision, and even many of the Jewish dietary rules.
Our religion stands on three foundations. The first is the command of the Holy Spirit. The second is the law of the Old Testament. And the third is the new law of the New Testament. Lalibela is not only famous amongst modern Ethiopians, but among people around the world. It's the pride of our people. And as you have witnessed it, you'll be able to tell the story better than we can.
It is a really holy day here. People have walked for miles, for months, just to get here so that they can see the tablets, even though they're covered, just to see the bishops, just to be blessed on this day, to kiss the walls of the churches. It really is a very significant and moving spiritual day.
Seeing a church as ancient and as African as this has been a truly liberating experience for me too.
When my ancestors were enslaved by the British, they had their freedom, their identity, their religion, their names ripped from them. I was born with the surname Roberts, that of the last slave master to own someone in my family. When I discovered this, I decided to trace my ancestry back to Ghana and reclaimed an ancestral name, Kwame Kweyama. I wear this Orthodox cross to symbolize to myself, really, that I can access Jesus the revolutionary, the protector of the dispossessed, through the lens of Africa, and not through my colonial masters who often arrived with a Bible in one hand and a gun in the other.
The Ethiopian church